Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about transit Venus, sextile or trine one's natal Neptune. Now, when you have this transit, this could manifest in love, enjoyment, relationships, money, values. These things can be in harmony with your dreams. I'm going to elaborate on it. It's about really having more enjoyment of your dreams at this time, and I don't mean necessarily the dreams, like in the cartoons when you have a little bubble over the head and you're sleeping at night, and you're what you're dreaming about when you're unconscious. You know, it could be, but more about what you fantasize about, what you dream of doing, what you figuratively are dreaming of doing, what things that you may want to aspire to be, which things that would really make you very happy. And if you say if you have your natal Neptune in Sagittarius, it could be uh, something with sports or religion or philosophy, or doing something with adventure as an example. Um, Foreign traveling, something, or something with the law, even anything that could be Sagittarius related, as an example. Even though it's generational, it doesn't mean that it wouldn't apply as far as the sign goes. Now, another thing is that Neptune is about our ideals, and this is a time where you may be more apt than usual to value these things. What's ideal in your life? If you have your Neptune in the fourth house, it could be something with the home and family. Capricorn in the fourth house, Neptune and Capricorn in the fourth house is an example. It could be having structure and discipline in the home life. This is time too, and that could be what you see as an ideal. Uh, Neptune is also about inspiration. So it could be where your relationships, which would include romantic connections and significant friendships, these people may be able to inspire you more at this time to do whatever it may be that may make you happy. It's more about enjoying the things that inspire you as well. It's more, this is a time where it could be very harmonious time for your relationships, and them being supportive again of your dreams, what you fantasize about, and being able to inspire you. It's a little more likely a time where your relationships aren't going to do things or say things that are going to affect you to your detriment. Could be a very positive time because you're talking about Venus again being connected with relationships, which include romantic connections and significant friendships. These people can be more supportive of what you want to attain in your dreams or your fantasies, those things that you may want to attain at this time, and be very supportive of this. Now, another thing is, anatomically speaking, Neptune is connected um, with the feet, the toes, the lymphatic and immune system. And it's a time where if you've had any issues that I just described that are anatomically connected with Neptune, it's a time where you'd be more likely to have the money to be able to do something about it at this time, more so than usual. Even if you're somebody that's very prosperous or affluent or wealthy, and you always seem to have the money to do whatever it is you need to do, it may be more of a time where you would be in favor of spending the money on these things. You would be more apt to want to do this if you've been procrastinating or hesitating for whatever reason on spending money on things. And in this case, something physically tied into Neptune, this could be the time where you'd be more apt to do something about it and spend something on those issues. Now, Neptune is also connected with deception and duplicity. So it's a time, if you're dealing with anything in your life that's deceptive or duplicitous, your relationships, this is a time where they could be more supportive and try to help you in coping with that. And let's say you have your natal Neptune in the second house. It could be a situation where one got bamboozled in some monetary situation. If the natal Neptune is in the fifth house, it could be over an investment. It could be over something, maybe a situation with a lover or a child. And it's something too, when you have this transit as well, that you have I would say relationships that you're involved in at this time. are going to, again, they can be very beneficial in these matters. If you're dealing with deception, duplicity, if there's anybody that's involved in some kind of alcohol or drugs, your connections could help you, more, with these issues. If there's anybody out there that, the isolated cases, that could be where those people can be more advantageous in terms of helping you deal with the situation. And it's a time to remember that Venus is about peace and it's reconciliation. So if there's anybody that has deceived you or has been deceptive or duplicitous, it's a time where you may be seeking some kind of peace with these people at this time of reconciliation and be willing to move forward. Now also too, Neptune is connected with confusion, and it's a time too where the thing is, if there's anything that's going on in your life that that you're dealing with, if there's chaos or some confusion, there's something you're having trouble understanding. Remember, Neptune is also associated with what's nebulous or unclear. This is a time where those people in your life, again, the relationships, important friendships, significant other, they may be able to help you deal with this more so than usual. And it's also a time where you could be idealistic about your connections, about your relationships, without being unrealistic, not to a point where you're continually just overlooking all the transgressions and shortcomings, but it's more of a time to be idealistic and being able to see the good in these people more so at this time, more so than usual. And another thing too is that when you have this transit, remember that Venus is about our self-worth, our self-esteem, how we feel about ourselves. So it's a time to where if you're involved, doing anything connected with Neptune, whether it could be the metaphysical, which includes astrology, or you're dealing with spirituality or meditation, this is a time where you're more apt to enjoy these things and being able to really appreciate what you're doing in those matters at this time, and whatever ability you may have in them. It could also be a time too where, Neptune being connected with dissipation and thinking about dissipation, it's a time too where the people, you could more value these things at this time, being able to end things that are not, or gradually end something. Dissipation, dissolving, that is connected with Neptune. It can be a time where you may have the money to be able to do this. Now, let's say if you have your natal Neptune in the 7th house as an example, it could be some marriage, and if there's money that needs to be spent and legally and this, it can be a time where you're more apt to have the money to be able to do this at this point in time, more so than usual. Neptune is also connected with imprisonment and incarceration. So again, going back to the money situation, if you have, it doesn't necessarily have to be you, but if you know somebody, say if your natal Neptune is in the 11th house, it might be a friend or an acquaintance that's incarcerated, and you want to help this person, and then you're more apt to have the money or willing to spend the money to be able to do this, to get this person, like if you were trying to get him or her bonded out. This could be the time where you might be able to help them. It's also more of an opportunity to have forgiveness in relationships. Neptune is about forgiveness and also surrender. And I don't mean like surrendering like literally like an army surrendering, but what I'm saying is that it's a time where even if you feel like you were right in a situation or argument with somebody, you may be willing to cave in and say, okay, I'm going to apologize, and that's what I'm talking about with surrendering. This is a time because you have a good relationship in the aspect between the transit of Venus and the natal Neptune, and it's also a time to show the enjoyment of compassion. Venus is about love, and Neptune is compassion, so it's really a good time where you could show your support to somebody by really caring for a person at this time. And you'll have it's a good blending of love and compassion when you have this transit. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back. But anyway, and keep in mind too that Venus is also about lawsuits and legalities. So if there's a lawsuit that's pending, or there's something involving, something Neptune related, that's, flooding or chemical or gas leak, and say if it was in your home and you sued somebody over it, it's a time where you might be able to reach an agreement on this, or there might be a settlement monetarily, or if there's even, say if there's a confusing legal situation, you're trying to figure out all the details, it's a good opportunity, I would say, to sort this out, because you do have the transit of Venus making a good aspect to Neptune, which is connected with confusion. And Neptune also, of course, has that tendency. I mean, Neptune energy has a tendency to gloss over details of things. So it's a better opportunity to not do that and be able to get all, the details, and being able to see what's going on with the legal matter at this time. Now, another way this transit can manifest, it could be where relationships, which is Venus, may be more in harmony with your dreams and fantasies, which is Neptune. Now, let's say, for example, if the natal Neptune is in Scorpio in the 12th house, it could be about empowering and transforming, which is Scorpio. The less fortunate, which is the 12th house, and those people can include people that are oppressed, hungry, homeless, as some examples. Now, another thing too is that it could also be very auspicious to receive money, which is Venus, for things that inspire what you're inspired to do, which is Neptune. Now, let's say, for example, if the natal Neptune is in Sagittarius in the 10th house, it could be doing something with advertising, which is Sagittarius, and in a business, which is the 10th house. It could also be a time for very positive, for peaceful, which is Venus, interaction with people that could be in the metaphysical, which includes astrology, or even spiritual people, which is Neptune. If your natal Neptune, say, is in Aquarius, as an example, it could be Aquarius, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant people, or simply ones that embody Aquarian characteristics. And it could also be a time where it's easier to love and enjoy, which is Venus. It could be sacrificing, which is Neptune. Let's say, for example, if you have your natal Neptune in Libra in the 2nd house, it could be artistic items, even a scale. In some cases, I mean, Libra is about balance, and those are in which are possessions, which is the 2nd house. Anyway, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.